Walk through any serious biohacking forum or longevity-focused online community, and you'll encounter a recurring pattern: people stacking niacin, NR, and N-men simultaneously, often with the belief that combining all three creates synergistic NAD plus elevation that single compounds cannot achieve. The logic feels intuitive: multiple pathways, comprehensive coverage, belt and suspenders certainty. The reality is considerably more complicated, and for the majority of people doing this, the most honest description of what they're doing is spending 3 times the money to travel the same destination through multiple redundant routes. If niacin, NR, and NMN all ultimately converge on the same ND plus synthesis pathways, and the biochemical evidence suggests substantial overlap, then simultaneously supplementing all three at therapeutic doses creates pathway saturation, not synergy. At a certain point, the synthesis enzymes are working at maximum capacity regardless of how much substrate you provide. Additional precursors don't accelerate a reaction that's already running at full speed. They create metabolic traffic with no throughput benefit. There is, however, a theoretical case for strategic combination that deserves fair examination. If different precursors genuinely access different tissue compartments, if one preferentially elevates ND plus in liver, while another preferentially reaches skeletal muscle or brain, then concurrent supplementation could provide broader tissue coverage than any single compound. The evidence for tissue-selective distribution in humans is currently weak and largely derived from animal studies, but it's scientifically plausible enough to take seriously as a hypothesis rather than a marketing claim. Sequential dosing is another strategy worth considering on theoretical grounds. Niacin produces a relatively rapid peak and decline NAD plus elevation pattern. Extended-release NR might sustain levels over a longer window. Staggering doses to maintain more continuous NAD plus elevation throughout a 24-hour period has logical appeal, though it remains unvalidated by direct human measurement of tissue NAD plus kinetics. The Occam's razor principle is the most valuable guide here. Use the simplest effective intervention until you have specific evidence that a more complex approach provides additional benefit. That means starting with niacin monotherapy, tracking subjective and objective response markers over 3 months, then evaluating whether adding anything else produces measurable improvement. If the single compound approach achieves your goals, you have no scientific reason to add cost and complexity. If you try niacin alone and find it insufficient by clearly defined metrics, then targeted addition of a complementary precursor becomes a rational next step rather than a default assumption. The warning about supplement stacking is financial and practical rather than safety-based. Redundant supplementation is primarily a waste of money in the ND plus space. But it's a waste of money that feels productive, which makes it particularly common among people who are genuinely motivated to optimize their health, and therefore particularly worth examining critically.